o'clock. ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
Cases of COVID-19 are surging and local intensive care units are nearing capacity. Frontline workers reveal their biggest concern. Plus, the San Diego County District Attorney now investigating inmates for possibly committing millions in unemployment fraud.
And in this season of hope, we'll introduce you to the local brewer who's working to make sure every child gets a gift this holiday.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
The coronavirus pandemic is continuing to take a dire toll on our hospitals. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. Steve Atkinson has the night off. ICU beds across the region are falling to critically low levels as we remain under a stay-at-home order. As ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco explains, local hospital leaders are putting out a call for help.
Intensive care units across San Diego County nearing capacity. Dr. Tom Laurie is the chief medical officer of Sharp Memorial Hospital. Sharp's 4 acute care hospitals have roughly 180 ICU beds. Right now, only 20 are available.
We're seeing 3 to 4 times the volume that we did probably in the initial surge. Now, fortunately, people are younger, so we're seeing a little bit fewer of those patients coming to the hospital, but nonetheless, it's beginning to overwhelm us.
Especially overwhelming for the nurses, doctors, and health professionals who have been treating COVID-19 patients every day for 9 months.
The big issue we're having right now is with nurses and with respiratory therapists, and then our physicians are really feeling the crunch.
Before they get stretched too thin, Sharp healthcare leaders are putting out a call for help.
We just want to ask any physicians who have the capacity, the capability, and the wherewithal to step into the fray and help our other frontline physicians.
Those frontline workers, his biggest concern.
Are we going to have the folks to take care of the people that need to be taken care of? And are they going to have the energy to continue like this for another few months?
Even as hospitals fill up, he says the models show shutting down for 3 weeks will go a long way.
We start to see the numbers come down within a few weeks. That's remarkable to me, and that gave me the most hope about what we can do.
ICU capacity for the Southern California region is down to around 10%. Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
Dr. Lowry believes the numbers will peak around Christmas, then hopefully start to come down if people follow the stay-at-home orders.
All I could do was just cry.
Loved ones grieving the COVID death of a South Bay great-grandfather while his wife fights for her life on a ventilator. As ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us, the man was driving for Lyft 7 days a week to bring in money.
George Torres first started feeling sick in early November.
He had a headache, he had diarrhea, and shortness of breath.
Daughter Rachel Cedillo says his symptoms got worse, and in mid-November,
It sounded like he was running a marathon.
George was taken to the ER, tested positive for COVID-19, and placed on a ventilator a day later. Several days later, his wife of 49 years, Alma, came down with her own symptoms. By the end of the month,
That was hard.
both of her parents were on a ventilator. On December 3rd, George Torres, a grandfather of 9 and a great-grandfather, passed away at the age of 67.
Oddly enough, I felt panic. All I could do was just cry.
Cedillo says her father
Most friendliest man, greatest man to talk to about anything.
was always joking and laughing. He worked as a part-time handyman and Lyft driver 7 days a week. Cedillo isn't sure how her father contracted the virus, but says he was diligent about masks for himself and his passengers.
If they refused, he refused to give them a ride.
As COVID cases continue to grow, Cedillo's making this urgent appeal.
Please, please be careful, be responsible, and just wear a mask.
As for Cedillo's mother, Cedillo says she's performed well on recent breathing tests and is hopeful she'll recover. Alma does not yet know her husband has passed.
It's extremely painful at this point. We are going to have to tell her once she wakes up.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
A GoFundMe campaign has been set up to help the family with expenses, and there is a link on our homepage.
Earlier today, California's Health and Human Services Secretary explained why this regional stay-at-home order is so important.
The fact is that transmission is now so widespread across our state that most all non-essential activities create a serious risk for transmission. It's also based on our past experiences in March when we flattened the curve.
Dr. Galley added that in March, the efforts we took together to stop the spread of the virus were effective and kept that curve down. He said there is hope that as we wait for a vaccine to be approved, he encouraged everyone to continue to wear a mask, socially distance, and wash your hands. COVID-19 vaccines are now being given in the UK, and that same vaccine, developed by Pfizer, could be approved in the U.S. in a matter of days. As ABC's Rena Roy explains, the news can't come soon enough as hospitalizations and deaths reach record highs.
At least 284,440 Americans have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began, according to Johns Hopkins University. One of the victims, 46-year-old police officer Titus Moore of Chicago, laid to rest today after 14 years on the force.
He absolutely loved being a police officer. He would do anything for anybody.
Nationwide, COVID deaths are up 50% since just last week, on the rise in nearly every state, including Arkansas.
We can't lose our focus as we go into the holidays, post-Thanksgiving. We've seen the surge. We don't need another one around the holidays.
In Johnson City, Tennessee, one hospital is starting to use a mobile morgue truck to keep up with hospitalizations and deaths there. As of December 3rd, nearly 1.5 million children have tested positive since the pandemic began. Health experts urging people to keep following safety precautions.
Without substantial mitigation, the middle of January can be a really dark time for us.
This as states finalize their vaccine distribution plans, with emergency authorization possible for Pfizer's vaccine by the end of the week here in the U.S. It's already gotten the green light in the U.K., where vaccinations began today, starting first with 90-year-old grandmother Margaret Keenan.
Feeling good.
You look well.
I was a little bit nervous, but now it's going away.
In its first analysis, the FDA says the Pfizer vaccine does appear to be effective, regardless of race, ethnicity, or gender, adding there were no specific safety concerns identified that could prevent emergency authorization. The FDA will publicly debate two main questions in its hearing on Thursday: whether the vaccine is in fact effective and whether the potential benefits outweigh any risks. Officials say the vaccine could be authorized for use just 24 hours after that. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And earlier today, the state sent out emergency alerts to phones throughout Southern California, asking people to stay home except for essential activity. The alert is meant to serve as a reminder that the new stay-at-home order took effect this week throughout our region. And you can keep track of any developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
Smoke from a fire burning in Mexico is drifting into San Diego County. Cal Fire says the fire is located 15 miles south of Tecate and is not posing any danger to our side of the border. However, dark smoke is being spotted as far north as Oceanside and Vista, nearly 100 miles from the impact. And it's also impacting our air quality. No word yet on how many acres the fire has burned. Turning now to our weather, a high wind warning for San Diego County expired about an hour ago, but the fire danger still remains high. Meteorologist Angelica Campos is monitoring these conditions for us right now. Hi, Angelica.
Hi, Kim. Let's start with the good news first. Yes, the strongest winds are over, so conditions will be getting better. But we still have a high fire danger because of the dry conditions and the gusty winds that we still have in place. Let's take a look at the numbers. Right now, we are still pretty gusty out there, but some of the strongest winds over the last 48 hours include Big Black Mountain at 77 miles per hour, Palomar Mountain over 60 miles per hour, and even Alpine going over 50 miles per hour. The winds right now are looking better. 24 miles per hour Alpine, Crestwood 37, Julian 26, Descanso 27 miles per hour. So some other areas, including El Cajon, are still gusty, and this is the way it's going to play out for tonight. Gusty winds will continue overnight and even into tomorrow, with the winds mostly out of the east. By tomorrow afternoon, that will begin to change. What's not changing quite yet is how low the relative humidity is, but that also should be getting better even as early as tomorrow afternoon. Coming up in our 7-day forecast, I'll explain why conditions will start to get better and what to expect for the rest of the week.
Thank you. If you or someone you know was affected by the Valley Fire, there's only a week left to apply for financial assistance. Homeowners and renters can apply for a Federal Emergency Management Agency grant, a program that helps with disaster-related losses. And that money will run out December 15th, next Tuesday. To apply, head to disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800-621-3362.
Now to the scheme involving California prison inmates and unemployment money. Investigators say the widespread fraud may have cost the state upwards of $1 billion. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan spoke with ABC 10 News about the ongoing investigation here in San Diego County. Donovan State Prison. It's one of the locations District Attorney Summer Stephan's office says was involved in a massive pandemic unemployment fraud scheme.
We're unraveling really an unprecedented level of fraud that we've never seen before at this scale.
Stephan estimates that prisoners and their accomplices at Donovan were able to cheat the state out of as much as $5 million.
That they're working with a few people on the outside, organized crime, fraudsters, and gangs and organized gangs on the street to funnel this money both ways.
The investigation here in San Diego is part of a larger one statewide and includes high-profile prisoners like Scott Peterson and Carrie Stainer and more than 100 inmates on death row. Bank of America, which distributes payments for the Employment Development Department, estimates the fraudulent activity connected to prisoners could total roughly $2 billion. Stephan is calling on Governor Newsom to provide emergency funding and other resources to help in the investigation.
We're having to divert huge resources to bring forensic accountants, to bring information sharing, to bring all sorts of investigative tools to unravel this large-scale fraud.
In the meantime, Stephan says immediate action should be taken to prevent further fraud.
We must implement cross-matching. That's a system where before a check is sent out, it cross-matches against the list of prisoners that we know that the California Department of Corrections has their name.
Now, Bank of America has said it's frozen accounts suspected of fraudulent activity. As for getting that stolen money back, it's unclear at this point if that's possible.
The U.S. Supreme Court denied a request from Pennsylvania Republicans to block President-elect Joe Biden's win in that state. And this comes on what's known as Safe Harbor Day. That's when federal law requires states to resolve all election-related disputes. This has to happen before the Electoral College meets in order for the results to be considered conclusive.
We were rewarded with a victory. Now let's see whether or not somebody has the courage, whether it's a legislator or legislatures, or whether it's a justice of the Supreme Court or a number of justices of the Supreme Court.
The Trump administration is running out of runway in their legal challenges, but the Texas Attorney General filed a case today asking the U.S. Supreme Court to block battleground states from voting in the Electoral College, saying changes made to election procedure violated federal law.